As of right now, there are 8 known lightsaber colors in the current Star Wars canon, each with various meanings behind them. These are those 8 colors, as well as some other colors that I think would be interesting to see in various forms of Star Wars content, whether it's comic books, novels, or even live action. And and animation. Let's not forget about animation, because Star Wars animation has been real nice to us.
But I was going into Tosche Station to pick up some power converters.
First off, we have blue, which is the first lightsaber color we see in all of Star Wars. Notable figures who have blue lightsabers include Anakin and Obi-Wan, who wielded blue lightsabers later on in their Jedi careers. When a Jedi wields a blue lightsaber, that often means that they are a Jedi Guardian, which basically means that they are very skillful with the lightsaber and dueling and fighting with the lightsaber, and they kind of prefer that approach rather than trying to use the Force in various ways. Number 2 is the second color of lightsaber that we see in all of Star Wars, which is the red. These lightsabers can come in a variety of shades of red, with an orange core, a more red crimson core. It varies from Sith Lord to Sith Lord. Speaking of Sith Lords, the Sith are the main characters and people who use red lightsabers. So this includes Darth Vader, Darth Sidious, Count Dooku, Kylo Ren, Darth Maul. The list goes on and on from multiple villains in the Star Wars universe. You know, kind of thinking about it, there was no real Darth in the sequels. I mean, there was Palpatine, sure, but Snoke, it wasn't Darth Snoke. It wasn't Darth Ren. These lightsabers are red because the user bleeds the Kyber crystal, which basically means that they just put a lot of dark side energy and hate and all those thoughts into the crystal, which bleeds the color into being red. Now, number 3 on the list are the green lightsabers. I would argue that green lightsabers are probably the most popular of any lightsaber color just because of the figures and people who have used green lightsabers. This includes Qui-Gon, this includes Yoda, this includes Luke when he becomes a master. Just those 3 figures themselves kind of just puts this color up top with any other color just because of the figures and their history and their power behind the character. Wielding a green saber often means that you are a Jedi consular, which generally means that you prefer to use the Force rather than your saber skills. So perhaps use Force push or pull, or any of those variety of more Jedi ways, because Jedi often use green lightsabers rather than the Sith who use red. I would say this often correlates with those who are more powerful with the Force, because if you're more powerful with the Force, you'd probably rather use the Force rather than your current lightsaber skills. Number 4 is the purple lightsaber, which is wielded by the one, the only Mace Windu. This lightsaber isn't really seen beyond Mace Windu to my knowledge. It's possible that someone else has it, but that's the main figure that anyone thinks of when they see the purple lightsaber. I'm not 100% sure if the purple lightsaber has a specific meaning behind it, but because it's kind of connected to Mace Windu, it's more of a balance, using both light and dark side to your advantage and kind of combining the two in the fight. And because of the use of the dark side elements, the character and the user are generally a bit more aggressive in their fighting tactics, which is seen with Mace Windu. Number 5 is black. The black lightsaber, which there really aren't any. It's just the dark saber. The dark saber is a one-of-a-kind lightsaber that was created by Tar Vizsla, who was the first Mandalorian to become a Jedi. Now, this might be my favorite just because the darksaber is just so cool and the sound is amazing. It sounds completely different than any other lightsaber. It's just, man, it's just beautiful. Now, moving on to number 6 is the yellow lightsaber, which I believe the only live action character to use a lightsaber that is yellow is Rey at the very end of Rise of Skywalker. I don't believe we see any yellow lightsabers throughout any of the other main movies. You see the yellow lightsabers used in Rebels, I believe, when there are the Jedi guards. But other than that, I don't believe we see yellow too often, but it is known that yellow often refers to the Jedi as being more of a Jedi Sentinel. This basically means, from what I've gathered anyway, they're more stealthy and they're more tactical, and they try to use some more ingenuity in fights rather than the straight on, straight ahead fighting style, whether with the Force or with the lightsaber skills. Now, number 7, which might be the most badass looking, besides the Darksaber, let's be honest, are the white lightsabers, which are notably used by Ahsoka Tano. Much like the Darksaber, I'm not really sure if there's any specific meaning behind this lightsaber, but the crystal, which turns white, is created by purifying a kyber crystal. So instead of coming up red, it comes up white. Much like the last few, I haven't seen too much of this color, and we haven't really seen the color white much at all in Star Wars in general, so that's probably why there's not too much information behind the meaning and reasoning behind the white saber. But what I saw was the mastery of the Force being a prime subject in the meaning behind the white saber, which I think would kind of correlate with Ahsoka, but I feel like there can definitely be more added to that. And lastly, number 8, the last known lightsaber color is orange. Now, this is a brand new color that has, from what I've seen, no affiliation with technique or preference to the use of the Force. This saber color was introduced in the game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is actually a game I still need to get through, but that's besides the point. But yeah, there's not much known about this, and it's going to be interesting to see where and how this color shows up and who it relates to, because with it being orange, being a color that's closer to red, orange could kind of push the person to maybe believe that they are dark side. I don't think this is true because you are able to use the orange crystal in the game, but I think we'll find out more, and maybe we'll be introduced to more colors throughout new canon. Now that we went through all 8 colors that we already know, here are 7 colors that I would like to see, and also 2 meanings and preferences with the use of the Force that I think would be interesting to see. One idea I have is more of a pink magenta color. Okay, so it appears that the pink color is also in Jedi Fallen Order. Kind of messed up on that one, but it should definitely be used more often. That's all I'm gonna say now. Not so much with the dark purple that Mace Windu has, but more of a lighter version of that. I believe in Legends, Mara Jade had a pink lightsaber. I may be wrong, but just seeing the pink lightsaber would be pretty interesting because that's just a lighter version of purple, but the visual of it would be completely different from the purple in my opinion. Another color that I think would be interesting, but I don't know how it would work, would be gray. Now, I don't really know what I was thinking when I wrote this down, honestly. I don't know how it would look. It'd have to be a different type of lightsaber, kind of like a Darksaber isn't the traditional beam of light that a lightsaber is. But yeah, I was just thinking, what if there was a middle ground between Ahsoka's purified lightsaber and then the Darksaber? So then gray, right? But I don't really know how that'd look, and honestly, the more I think about it, it'd probably look a little gross. Another color that I think would be interesting, kind of relates to the first one I said, the pink, is more of a coral color. Now this is basically a lighter red, which is basically pink, but a coral is more pastel looking. Pastel? Why did I say pastel? Just pastel. Pastel. Oofda. Anyway, seeing a color that's not so bright would be kind of interesting to see, which kind of relates back to the gray, because gray obviously isn't bright, but neither is black, but they kind of found a way about that with the creation of the Darksaber. But yeah, I was curious how a more, like I said, pastel looking color would appear as in a lightsaber. I don't think it'd look too great because bright lightsabers are inherently bright, but it just kind of crossed my mind while Honestly, I was just looking through a bunch of colors to see what would be interesting. Now, these next two, 4 and 5, relate to the blue lightsaber. I think like a lighter one, like an aqua or bright teal, would be interesting, and also a darker, more navy blue lightsaber is also interesting, which admittedly this could just be the blue lightsaber and just the way it's created. Maybe it's just a little bit darker or lighter. It doesn't really have to be its separate kyber crystal. I don't know, it's a whole thing obviously, but I think just of variations on the current colors would also be pretty interesting. Kind of going off of that, leading into number 6 is more of an emerald green, which is kind of just a darker green basically. And the greens that we see in Luke's and Yoda's lightsaber are very, very light and very bright. So I'm curious what like a darker green, more of an emerald, would look like. And now the last color that I think would be super cool to add would be beige. But seriously, what if there was like a brown, a beige, or a tan color? Like, brown is such a boring color, but seeing it as the color of a lightsaber, which is an elegant weapon and a super cool weapon, would be kind of hilarious to see, honestly. I don't think this should ever actually happen, but it'd be pretty funny. Be a pretty memey color. But those are some colors that I think would be cool to add, or maybe add just variations to the current colors, because there are different sounds. Each lightsaber kind of makes a different sound from one to the other. So it'd be interesting if a green lightsaber varies from Jedi to Jedi. And even thinking about it, it'd be cool to see different forms of stability in the lightsaber blade. Kind of going off of the Kylo Ren lightsaber, the blade seems so unstable. It just crackles, and it's so different than any other lightsaber, which I think makes it one of the coolest lightsabers there is. So maybe playing with that, playing with how clean the beam is, would also be pretty interesting to add. But yeah, there are two kind of like meanings behind, so similar to like the Jedi Guardian, the Jedi Counselor, the Jedi Sentinel. There are like two things that I think would be interesting to add to either a specific lightsaber color, or maybe just in general a lightsaber color, which honestly this first one I guess could kind of be with the Jedi Counselor, and that is having a speciality in a certain force ability. So like maybe using force speed, or force push, or pull, or lightsaber throw, or jumping. There are so many ways to use the force, so it'd be interesting to see if lightsabers had a more specific affinity with a force ability. Now, like I said, it kind of relates to the whole lightsaber green color, because Jedi Counselors are generally more force users. So then maybe that kind of brings in this whole idea of like they use the force more generally instead of being a specific ability. But overall, it'd be interesting to see how that would play out. And the other meaning that I thought of would be the years of being a master. It'd be interesting if over time you got a different lightsaber crystal, a kyber crystal. Maybe as you became a master for more and more amount of years and more time, then maybe you get I don't know how that'd work, honestly. You get the ability to have different lightsaber colors. I mean, it's basically like leveling up in a game. It's like, oh, I got this many points, I'm gonna buy the green color, that kind of thing. But I don't think that'd work too well, and also it doesn't really play in with the whole Jedi thought process, I feel like. So maybe that one's not too great. But kind of going off of that, it'd be interesting to see if there was a kyber crystal, or maybe a Jedi that causes the kyber crystal to have the color of the lightsaber slowly and gradually change over time. Like, what if as a Padawan was progressing in their way to knighthood, maybe their lightsaber went from more of a blue and gradually turned into a green, so then there was like a scale of multiple different colors in between. Now that'd be interesting. I don't exactly know how kyber crystals work specifically, since I'm sure there's a specific way, and I just don't know it right now. But to my knowledge, when you first use that kyber crystal, it is the color because of your affinity with the Force. So what if there was a specific kyber crystal that's from like this specific mine on this specific planet that changed every single time you turned on the lightsaber? I think that'd be interesting. And that'd be kind of cool to see, let's say a Padawan going his way to knighthood. It goes from blue to green, maybe to a purple here and there and back and forth. And then what if like one time something happens in a battle and it turns up red? I think that'd be really interesting. And then like other Jedi see it and they're like concerned for the Jedi's well-being because the beam came up red. And they're like, oh no, he's going to be using the dark side. This is the path to the dark side, using anger and hate. I think that might be a bit much for a kyber crystal in the lightsaber, but I think that's an interesting idea. Anyway, those are the current 8, I only hold up 4, but 8 current lightsaber colors in the current Star Wars canon. And also some other colors that I think would be interesting to add. Admittedly, some of them are variations on current colors, but I think just more variety would be really interesting to see. But what colors do you want to see, and what like more meanings behind the lightsabers and behind the Jedi that show up in their lightsabers would you like to see, and do you find it interesting? Anyway, if you enjoyed the content and this video, feel free to give me a like, and if you want to see my content in the future, you can hit that subscribe button, and then you'll be notified anytime I go live, as long as you have that little bell ding-a-lingy on. I just said ding-a-lingy. Whatever. Also, if you're interested in other content I create, I have another channel, which is just kind of a broad spectrum of things. It is the Werewolf123 YouTube channel. And you can also find me streaming on Twitch at the same name, Werewolf123. I'll have the link in the description below if you're interested in looking at that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the current lightsaber canon colors, and I hope I'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.